Paula Deen made a sandwich with a hamburger with crispy corn dogs.
Yep.
So it does exist. Caramel versus Duskin.
I love the watching. I love watching a bunch of videos, just find clips of this, and one of the ones I love it. He talks about a burger they make in Japan that's 5 patties with a McGriddle on it, and the guy says, "This is for someone who isn't really sure if they want breakfast or lunch, but is sure that they want a myocardial infarction." And I mean, food like this exists. And the thing is, as you can see at the very last clip there, the reason he starts making the soul food is because of this movie where Big Mama brings her family together by making them this food. And so a lot of the time we associate very positive things with these really, really unhealthy meals. And while it's okay to have some of that food in moderation, we tend to think we need that comfort every day. I did Weight Watchers for a while, and I loved it because one of the stories that our counselor told us was a girl who would go out, and she said, "Well, I only eat fast food on special occasions." And so they asked, "Okay, what's the special occasion?" Every time she went to a movie, which was weekly, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. Every time she went to a Weight Watchers meeting, because she had to drive in from out of town, so she was in the big town, so she ate every time she went shopping. And so it's like, well, really, none of those are really special occasions. You do them more than once a week, they're not a special occasion. So it's okay to have this kind of comfort food, but we just need to realize that every day is not a special enough of occasion. And so here are the big negative consequences for it, and there's 3 major categories to divide these into. You have related conditions, like type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure. These are things that aren't caused directly by obesity, but aren't helped by it either. In fact, for those of you who know chemistry, a catalyst is something you add to a reaction to make it go faster, and so obesity acts as a catalyst for a lot of these conditions, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. These are things that you might not actually, you can get them without being obese, but being obese makes you much more likely to have them. And then, of course, you have conditions caused by the obesity. The first time are those caused by your increased mass, such as sleep apnea, which is when you're heavy enough that when you sleep on your back, the fat forces your airways closed while you sleep. And so I don't know if any of you have heard of a guy who snores really, really, really loud and sounds like they're suffocating in the night. Probably sleep apnea, and probably more than likely caused by obesity. That was my dad. I used to sleep in a room, like we were in different rooms, but it was the room next to the master bedroom, and I would wake up sometimes in the middle of the night. I had nightmares once when I got in my parents' bed that I was being chased by dinosaurs, and I woke up and it was my parents snoring. Anyway, and then you have other things like osteoarthritis, where just the increased stress on your body caused by being overweight eventually causes a breakdown, where, in this instance, the bones have such stress on them that eventually the joints start to swell, causing osteoarthritis. And the last one is conditions that can come about by an increased number of fat cells. And the biggest example of this is cancer. So essentially cancer, and everyone who's a medical student will hate me for saying it this way, but cancer is when one cell gets the formula wrong and starts making more cells, but in a way that's bad for your body. And so the more you make cells, the more likely it is you're going to have a screw up. So when you have an incredible number of fat cells that you're producing, odds are one of those is going to screw up and start producing cancerous cells instead of being a healthy cell. Now, there are ways to manage it. The first and foremost is healthier lifestyle choices. I think that's the big one. The other ones, they kind of fit in, but this is the big one. No matter what else you do, you will also have to do that one, which I love. I saw a diagram, and it says, okay, a healthy diet is a moderate intake in, moderate output out, good health. A bad diet is lot in, almost none out, bad health. And then it says, here's the miracle of medical pills. You have a lot in, none out, and then a black hole that appears in your stomach because you're taking the pill. And so the weight just disappears. It doesn't work that way. If you're going to lose weight, you're going to have to make healthier lifestyle choices. Now, sometimes, though, it isn't as easy as just saying, okay, I'm going to eat less. So I know I've been saying that for 15 years before I actually lost any weight. In fact, steadily gained at a rate of about 10 pounds per year. Saying, okay, I'm going to eat less. I'm going to eat less. And it never worked. So sometimes you got to treat your determinants. And I'm mad already that I use this word, but what I'm trying to say there is when you're treating the determinants, you're looking at those things that are actually causing the overeating behavior and actually treating those themselves. So like if you eat when you're depressed, taking antidepressant medication might help you eat less because once you've addressed the depression, you'll stop trying to cope with it with food. Other things include, and this is more than just medical things too. So if you find that you eat a lot of food when you're hanging around with people, take steps to make sure that you eat only healthy food. That's my family. Whenever we hang out in the kitchen. Why? Because there's food in the kitchen. We can just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. So what we started doing as a family is we start playing games and associated in the dining room, because we don't actually have a fridge in there, or the microwave, or the stove. So if you want to grab something, you have to get up or remove yourself from the action and go grab something in the kitchen, which, you know, it's a minor step, but it's something to help. Right, and the last couple here are for more drastic medication. Actually, not too drastic. It depends on the symptoms of what the medication is doing. For some people, the medication, remember, going back to those hormones, the medication will simply produce more of the hormone because you're full. The only problem with medications that do that is that since so much obesity is caused by a resistance to that hormone, giving you more of that hormone isn't going to do anything for you, because you already produce plenty of it, and your body is saying, okay, whatever, I don't care if we have that hormone in the system. Other medications, though, can more directly affect the brain. Like, they have some depressants, because when people are depressed, they tend to not eat, depending on the person. And so they give you depressants that suppress certain part of the brain that you're not, it's what completely removes the brain's desire to eat. And the last one is the most drastic. It's surgery. And this is a bypass. So essentially what they do is this right here is one of the big digestion centers. This is the stomach and then the duodenum. And the stomach is the majority of the mechanical digestion, with the combination of the acid and the crushing. It grinds up your food so it can be processed. And the duodenum, this little chunk right here, is what pulls a lot of the nutrients out of your food. And so essentially what they do is they slice off most of the stomach, since you can't actually hold any food in there, and they remove most of the duodenum so that the duodenum can't absorb any nutrients. And then they just hook it back up there. And this may seem like a good idea, because, hey, you know, now you don't have to worry about overeating anymore. But it's actually really invasive surgery and potentially fatal. Because the fact of the matter is, when you don't have this to absorb nutrients, and you only have this much food to eat, you can't just eat whatever you want. You have to be on a very regular diet. In fact, one of the biggest problems with surgery like this is people dying of malnutrition after the surgery, because they don't properly proportion their food. And that just goes back to the first thing, healthier lifestyle choices. It doesn't matter what else you do, it's going to come down to making a healthier lifestyle choice. And so now, in conclusion, we're going to head back